Hello, and welcome to Unity Church on the Mountain from my home. The title of the talk today will be, I Choose. But before that, let's begin with our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe, God. Together, let's take a deep and holy breath, bringing in that air, holding for a short time, and then releasing. And one more time in, holding for a short time, and relaxing, slowly releasing that breath through the mouth. In this now moment, let us affirm together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. So, I choose. Last week, the title of the talk was, It's All Good? And I said, you might add on to that, really? And we talked about several things, but mostly the theme was around the idea of using statements, whether it's aloud or internally, that imply that we have fallen short. A statement like, I should have, I should not have, I ought to have, or I know better than that. And I summarize this group of statements as saying should on myself, or shoulding on myself. And what these statements have in common was that they brought about a feeling of guilt, shame on ourselves, which ultimately would end up in a lowered self-esteem. And so the challenge for the week was to observe ourselves for these moments when we catch ourselves shoulding on ourselves, and then to turn that around by saying, what need is it that I have that is not being fulfilled, that has brought on this shoulding? There were several times that I was able to observe myself and catch myself in the midst of one of these statements to myself. The most outstanding ones that I can remember happened while I was at work. And it was in relation to doing my job in the most efficient way, or maybe forgetting to do something. I'm not sure exactly how we would phrase that. But there was this idea, this thought that I should have known better, that came to my mind almost immediately. It was without thinking. It was like just a snap reaction. And then, so I was able to catch this as well, like really close in time to when it happened, and able to look into my consciousness to see, well, where did this come from? What is the need that I have? One particular instance, I can remember that I had this idea that my need was to perform my tasks that are mine to do in the company in a way that will make my immediate supervisor and my ultimate big boss happy. Make them happy. Make them pleased with my performance. So, this is an opportunity to use our other spiritual tools, like the welcoming practice and follow the line. So, bringing those tools in, I could follow that, welcoming it and then following it back towards what might really be the need. That need to satisfy my superiors at work. That need, following the line, to be the good boy. To please. So how could I turn that around, that need? What is it that I could do that would bring that align with my spiritual path? You see, the work on my spiritual path becomes prayer. So there's this idea of making what task it is that's before me a prayer. So turning that into prayer and bringing in this idea of play, not being so serious about it. Inevitably, whenever I would discuss something like this with my supervisor, and I had opportunity this week to do exactly that, it was never as big a deal for him as what I made it out to be for myself. And I think it's that idea of shoulding that puts a lot of pressure, a lot of stress on us. So when I was able to turn that around, I felt relieved, and I had the solution. It's like it just appeared in my mind as I relaxed. And this was a problem meaning something that needed to be solved. In other words, how are we going to do this better? That a team of us have been working on for at least a week and a half. And here it goes, as soon as I was able to release that and look at what my needs were, so that all of that was out of the way of my consciousness. There was this space that was created, and here comes the solution. So that is an example of how we can take these ideas of our spiritual path and bring them into our daily life and see their effectiveness. And don't take my word. Don't take my experience. Bring these spiritual tools into your own life and see how they work for you. And this week, I want to look at, with this idea of I choose, how it is that we look at those tasks that we do day in and day out. Or maybe week in, week out, month out, but they're regular tasks. And especially I want to highlight those ones that we think we have to do. The have to tasks. We may feel it is our duty. It's something we have to do. And we probably then don't enjoy it. And it can be helpful to make a list. These are the things I have to do. One of them for me was always mowing the yard. I have to mow the yard. I have to do my taxes. You know, the saying that goes, there's only two things you have to do in life, and one is to die and the other is to pay taxes. But really, if we can turn it from have to to I choose to, then the task becomes lightened. That dread that we feel for a have to task, that sense of it being a punishment, it goes away. It really just dissipates. I was able, with mowing the yard, to turn it around by saying, well, I really like the way the yard looks when I finish mowing. The house looks better, and I feel better, and I feel more like going outside and enjoying the sunlight and enjoying the nature that surrounds my house. So by looking at these positive things that are associated with mowing the yard, I was able to change it from something that I have to do to something that I choose to do to make my life better. And it also makes the lives of all of them around, of the people in the neighborhood, better, because they're seeing this same beauty instead of seeing the overgrown grass. So it's good for me and it's good for the neighbors by bringing that beauty out. As far as my taxes go, which this is tax season, and I've noticed that I've been putting it off. And I'm certain that it's because of this have to viewpoint that I have associated with my taxes. Now, one of the things that helps me to do my taxes is that because I have enough taken out of my check that I get a refund, that there is always that bonus of doing my taxes so that I can get this extra money every year. But there's a better way, because we don't all get a refund. Some of us end up owing Uncle Sam at the end of the year. So I think about, what is it that my taxes are used for? Think about how this country that we live in takes that money and puts it to use. There are so many positive ways to look at how that money is used, whether it's for maintaining our security or helping others. Sure, we can take and turn that around the other way and say, well, how is our money wasted? But what do I choose to do? If I had the choice of the way to look at it, what would I choose? And you see, that is, we may not have a lot of direct choice in how it is spent, but we certainly have a choice in how we look at it. And that we do vote. We get to have a free and fair election and cast our vote. So in that way, we also choose. We have choice, especially in our inner experience. In the newsletter, I talked about seeing with a healthy eye. And that is all about our perception of whatever the experience is. Whatever the situation is on the outside, many times we have no control over that. But we always can exercise our choice about our inner experience. So, as we go through the week this next week, observe our perception around things that we do. Do we have to do them? Is it possible to look at that task and say, well, what need is it? that I have, that I do this task to fulfill? And do I choose to do that, or do I really have to do it? Can I turn that have to task into a I choose to task? Something that provides for my needs. Getting up in the morning to go to work. Or just plain getting up in the morning. It is our choice. And so the title is I Choose. So look at those moments when we are beginning to do the task and observing the consciousness. Do we really have to, or do we choose to? Can we turn that have to around into something that we choose to do? And really, if we can't, is it something that we can eliminate? Do we really have to? I mean, if we have to. Or is there some need that's being fulfilled? And if there's a need, then we choose to do it. And it makes all of the difference in the world. Try it out. Don't take my word for it. Put it to practice. It doesn't hurt to observe. And it doesn't hurt to change our perception. So with that in mind, I do want to play you a song. I don't think it directly relates to the topic of the day. But it's a very nice way of looking at the universe. It's one you've heard me sing before. It's called Protonoia. Protonoia is the Coptic word for first thought. I like to think of it as the Word from the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word. Before there can be expression, there's idea. Remember the divine order: mind, idea, expression. It's part of how this creation manifests. And it's not something that was done and is now finished. It is that ongoing vibration that we are part of. So as these words flow by, allow the subject of the talk today to move from your conscious brain and let it circulate through your unconscious mind. Allow that power of discrimination that is within you to look at what is right for me, and then allow that will that is yours to choose what it is and how it is that you will use this practice in life. So the song, Protonoia. the first. I dwell within the silence that surrounds every one of them. Pronoia, pronoia. And it is a hidden voice that dwells within me, within thee, within me, within thee. Silence she is, called by three names. Although she dwells alone, since she's perfect. Pronoia, pronoia, pronoia. Observing ourselves through the week and noticing as a new alarm clock when we have to do something, and using this moment as an opportunity to turn our consciousness around from I have to I choose to. Together, let us affirm our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Thank you so much.